So if you know anything about me, Simon Miller, and you shouldn't know anything about me, but if you do, it's that I love goofy wrestling. I believe it is for life. And given that recently I talked about some of my favorite goofy wrestlers ever, well, we all decided we should sit down and talk about some of my favorite goofy moments in pro wrestling too. Now listen, I'll wake up tomorrow and go, oh my gosh, how did I forget that one? But I wanted to run the gambit, I wanted to talk about multiple companies, and I wanted to talk about multiple time zones. So if the one you're expecting doesn't come up in this list, make sure you put it down there. And essentially, I love all goofy wrestling for life moments, but when I sat down to write this, here are the 10 that popped into my damn stupid brain. Number 10, the Super Elite versus the Dark Order from that Dynamite in October 2021. I suppose you can just call this a Halloween match, hence why everybody is in costume. But when the Super Elite come out in their Ghostbusters uniforms, it's so funny because one, they're so damn proud of themselves, and two, later on in the match, when they use protein packs, you have Jim Ross on commentary that goes, oh man, protein packs, as if somebody has just used the gun. This is why JR is the greatest wrestling commentator of all time. I'm pretty sure he would lean towards more serious wrestling, but if he knew how to sell something, he would sell it. He was totally disgusted that the Hills would do this. It makes me laugh out loud every time. Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the Bucks as well are just jumping around like absolute idiots. And you all know the payoff here. You all know the best bit. Matt Jackson can feel the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man entering behind him. And when he whips off his hood, his mask, whatever we're calling it, is his Hangman Adam Page. The Young Bucks have an absolute meltdown. And then the Cowboy, the future world champion, starts to fight while wearing one of the most, iconic costumes to do what I can think of you have ever seen. You all remember watching that movie when we were kids as well. And now you had Hangman, who was the babyface, essentially playing the heel from the original Ghostbusters movie. I loved everything about this. And at the time, which again was in late 2021, it made me realize, thank goodness AEW does exist. It's not like WWE doesn't do this kind of a thing, but AEW's always felt like a more PWG company, to use those stupid terms, so they just pushed the boat out a little bit larger than maybe they would have done otherwise. I still go back and watch this, it still makes me chuckle, and it still makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. That's why I watch wrestling. I just want to have a good time. Put a tick in the box. Number 9, most everything between Steve Austin and Kurt Angle. So this mostly went down in 2001, but there are other years as well. And you know all of these because they are famous. The way they tried to win over the affections of Vince McMahon, the way they both played guitar, and of course the stupid cowboy hats. When Vince McMahon had a normal cowboy hat, Steve Austin had a normal cowboy hat, and Kurt Angle had the smallest cowboy hat you'd ever seen in your life, but he was so damn proud of it. And this is one of the reasons why Kurt Angle is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Not just because he was an absolute monster in the ring, but outside of it, he totally understood we're here to entertain, man. So if you want me to look like a jackass, tick that box. Given that everybody does talk about these moments though, I thought I would talk about a specific one with Steve Austin, and it's when Vince McMahon is giving his big hoorah speech to Team WWF before they go and fight Team WCW. I'm sure you've seen this online. Every single thing that Vince says, Steve Austin repeats. So Vince McMahon says, listen, I'm counting on you. Steve will go, counting on you. And the whole time he does this in the direction of The Undertaker, because for whatever reason, even though we're knee deep in what was meant to be quite a serious story, Stone Cold has decided, I am going to try and break The Undertaker. Mark Calloway has talked about this on his podcast. He had to rub his beard because he didn't like ruining his persona on national television because he was about to crack up. If you have not seen this, you must go watch it today. I mean, this is when Steve Austin was playing the weird paranoid Steve Austin, which was the best part about his heel turn, but it will just make you feel great about the world. It'll make you feel good in your Tootsie Toes. I still to this day don't understand why he tried to do this, but that Steve Austin man is a laugh riot, as are all of these skits. Again, they're like, 24 years old, and they still put a smile on my face. Go check them out. Number 8, the Outrunners versus Orange Cassidy from Rampage in June 2024. So I wanted to get at least one modern day one in there, otherwise you get too much stuck in the past. And I have talked about this before. You'll get mad at me, but I actually did do this. In my list of best matches from this year, I put this bout down because it is comedy wrestling, it's goofy wrestling, and it's character wrestling all wrapped up into one. These 3 loons hit a home run. It starts off with Orange Cassidy laying on the floor as Turbo hits the rope before Turbs realizes what he's doing. So he tags in Truth, who tries to hit these elbows, and he misses every single one. Then later on, they keep trying to chop Orange Cassidy, but they chop each other. Then they try and drop another elbow, and they completely miss. And the whole time, Orange Cassidy is doing his weird little kits and the skits that he would always do, but he does it in a way, it's like a cartoon as I cut myself off. But it is a 2-on-1 handicap match, so they had sat down, they must have thought about this and thought about this and thought about this. How can we use Cassidy's offense to ensure that we continue to run into each other, and it doesn't actually feel like a handicap match? Not only is this funny, not only is this brilliant, but I think it's a work of art. That's right, I said it. 1.2, Owens just hugs the referee as well, because he has no idea what is going on. And this is something that would actually show to somebody else that didn't watch wrestling as to why I like it. Some people roll their eyes and go, oh, they're so stupid. That would never happen in real life. That's the entire point. And this didn't happen by accident, like I say. They must have thought about this right down to a minute detail. I think it's brilliant. And if I had a star rating system, I would give it 5 stars. You, of course, will now go and check this out and think I'm mad, but I do not care. I love all 3 of these guys. I wanted to get them in the list, and I will stand by it till my dying day. Number 5, musical chairs from Raw back in July 2004. And throw in that 2009 Bob Barker sketch too. This one is just dumb, as opposed to being goofy, but there are elements to it that really make me happy. 1, we are playing musical chairs in order to get a title shot, which is absolutely obscene. But you also have Tyson Tomko, Chris Jericho, Ric Flair, Stacy Keibler, and Jerry Lawler, and Ric Flair absolutely steals this scene. Because not only does he shove Stacy Keibler out the way, because he's so desperate not to be eliminated from this game, but when he starts styling and profiling, he then does get ejected, he doesn't get a chair, and the Nature Boy sells this as if he's just been told you're fired and you're never allowed to come back to wrestling again. And if one of the best of all time in Ric Flair can sell something like this, we all can. Say it with me, goofy wrestling for life. Jericho is great too, because he whips the chair out from Tyson Tomko and smashes him with it to win the game, and he's just so happy. And that's why I did want to throw in the Bob Barker, This Is Your Life as well. That is something you should go watch today if you haven't, because Bob Barker and Chris Jericho fall out, and Bob Barker just cuts a promo on Chris Jericho's ass. And because Jericho understands the game, he sells it too, like this is death. So I suppose there is a theme here. Doesn't matter how big a star you are, doesn't matter who you think you are in your own brain, if you get presented with something that is quite clearly meant to be tongue-in-cheek, just have fun with it. Because when the performers are having fun, it comes out of the TV, and we are having fun too. Also, can you imagine if they did musical chairs on AEW, how the tribalistic community would melt down? So please, Triple H or Tony Khan, do it again. I beg you, I am ready. Number 6. Most everything with R-Truth. I mean, I couldn't just pick one because there's too many of them, but we'll start with what I think is the highlight of them all, which is the 2015 Money in the Bank match, or beforehand, when R-Truth comes out, he interrupts Kane, he interrupts Dolph Ziggler, he interrupts Roman Reigns. He cuts a big old promo going, oh, I'm going to climb that ladder and win, when Corporate Kane just goes, Truth, you're not even in the match. Now, it's the usual stuff you'd expect these days of R-Truth going, oh, my bad, but it's the delivery, it's how confused he looked, and it's the sadness in his eyes. And the camera cuts back to the ring, and Dolph and Roman are absolutely cracking up too. I mean, this was essentially the birth of the goofy R-Truth character, but there's a reason for it. Not everybody could have done this. Once again, let's say it again, it's masterful. Then, of course, there's everything he's done with Royal Rumbles over the years, like bringing a ladder into it, thinking it was the Money in the Bank match, and my personal favorite one when he did a hot tag in the middle of the Rumble. Now, don't get me wrong, I think WW made a huge mistake. We didn't push him one last time as serious run killings, but the R-Truth character has brought me so much joy throughout the years. I'm going to support that man until the end of days. I think he's brilliant, and I think there's more depth to this than people give him credit for. You can't just be funny because you want to be funny, you have to be funny. I think that makes sense. I could go on and on about R-Truth too. He's the absolute GOAT. Number 5, most everything with Kevin Owens. So he's just another guy I wanted to get into this list because he too has brought me so much joy over the years. I mean, let's go back to that Elias Ezekiel angle he did. If anybody else was put in that position, it would have been awful. But KO decided, well, I'm going to sell this like it's the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. And even if you go back now and watch those promos where he's screaming in Ezekiel's face going, I know you're Elias, I didn't like you then and I hate you now. It's just brilliant, man. It doesn't even go anywhere. That story kind of just finishes, but thank goodness they gave it to Kev, otherwise it would have sucked. There's smaller things to this too, and you can catch it all on the internet, like when he's doing a house show against Roman Reigns. He has Roman in a chin lock, and he is yelling at some fans, being like, don't boo me, I earn way more money than you. In fact, let me tell you about my checkbook. Once again, you can't just say those things, you have to have a certain delivery, and Owens nails it every time. Could also basically talk about everything that he and Chris Jericho did in 2016. That partnership was perfect, and some of the ways they rinsed down the backstage announcers, I still watch them today. Now, thinking about it, I probably should put the Iconics in here for similar reasons, but just type in Kevin Owens funny moments, and then come and tell me you didn't think this was the most entertaining thing you'd ever seen in your life. Even the promos he was cutting on Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton from his car were funny, and that was in the middle of a serious angle because he understands when to put it out there and when to take it away again. I know I've said this so many times it's boring, but he is my modern day GOAT. I actually think he's number 3 on my all-time list. Get mad at me in the comments. Number 4, Santino Marella's names and his celebrations. So there's another guy that I did mention in my Goofy Wrestlers for Life list, so I apologize, I am teaming up a little bit. But you know all the funniness with the names. In fact, I went through a huge list on that video, so you can just go and watch it. But what else I thought I could throw in here was the dumb celebration he did when he won. That stupid trumpet thing. Sometimes he would do it mid-match too, and the way he sold the stunner. I mean, that whole angle with Stone Cold Steve Austin is funny because, again, Steve got it too. But Santino takes that stunner and he flies backward with a salute hand, and that's why it's the best stunner style ever. Some people say Austin Theory, some people say The Rock, some people say Scott Hall. These are all very worthy options, but nobody has ever done it better than Santino. When it comes to Goofy Wrestling, he's a poster boy, right? He's the dream. If you are waking up right now and you want to be a comedy character in wrestling, which is perfectly fine, by the way, I live or die by that rule, watch Santino, copy him, and you will make it to the damn top. Number 3, Steve Austin and Vince McMahon in the hospital. So of course this one was knee-deep in the Attitude Era. I didn't want to include it because it's way too famous. I kind of felt like it tied into a bigger debate that is going on in 2025, so I was like, damn it, Simon, let's stoke some bald fires. Because yes, like I say, wrestling arguably has never been more successful than it was when Steve Austin was running wild. And here, Vince McMahon's in the hospital after being beaten up. He has Mick Foley there doing magic tricks and clownery in front of him when Austin dresses up as a nurse or a doctor, whichever one you want to call, hits Vince McMahon with a bedpan, which makes the most comical noise you've ever heard, and then just throws him around his local medical facility room like this is perfectly fine. Some of the quips that Steve is making too are laugh out loud funny, and Vince McMahon sells this like he's somewhat of a puppet. Like he has no offense, he's basically crying, and he's left for dead. This was meant to be a serious part of the Vince McMahon Steve Austin angle, but actually it is laugh out loud funny, which I also think was the intent. So I just kind of felt like we need to get one of these in here that is just so iconic, especially because I imagine we do have some younger viewers watching. You can go and check it out today. Again, just type in Steve Austin, Vince McMahon Hospital, probably 1998 or 1999 into your YouTube device, and imagine once again that somebody did this today. I want to make it clear, other times the Attitude Era tried this and it was absolutely terrible and has aged like bad cheese, but this one, not so. In fact, in many ways, it kind of encapsulates the feud. It's pretty damn funny. Number 2, everything with the Dark Order. So of course, this is what happened after Brody Lee joined, and it is just the best transformation. Because at first, they act like it is going to be all spooky, wooky, and terrifying, and then you have Brody Lee asking who the flub is Griff Garrison, and then there's Sue. Wonderful, wonderful Sue. When Sue threw the papers, it may have been the greatest moment in wrestling history, and when the Dark Order treats Sue with respect, and Brody Lee shouts, "Oh, you bow down to Sue?" And then he makes them pick up the papers. None of this makes sense. It's all out of context. You just need to go and type in Dark Order Best Bits on YouTube and watch it. And this is why Brody Lee was an absolute hero. And it would have been a tragedy anyway, but it's a double tragedy because he took this character and he was basically manipulating it in real time. This really was the peak, as far as I'm concerned, of the Dark Order in terms of their entertainment. You would watch the things they would do every single week. They weren't just funny ha-ha because of wrestling, they were funny overall, and they made sure to tie it into proper wrestling storylines too. I miss all of this. Absolute genius, absolutely brilliant, and I double watched them just to make sure, and yes, as soon as Sue gets involved, please, just do me a favor and check this out today, and you can disagree with me down there. Hello, comments that are getting mad. That Brody Lee, it was just one of a kind. Number 1, the WrestleMania Jackass match. So I have been thinking about this Sami Zayn versus the Jackass boys from WrestleMania for a long old time. Then all of a sudden this landed on my desk and I thought, you know what? This is the perfect moment for me to take that thing and throw it up the windmill and remind you that Sami Zayn may be one of the smartest professional wrestlers ever. Because who else could take someone like Johnny Knoxville and the rest of his boys and somehow turn it into a wrestling match that is super entertaining to watch, super funny, and actually ends with Sami Zayn getting his. Let's not forget no matter how much training they did, they're not going to be at any level because wrestling takes so damn long because you are experienced. But this Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens has talked about this too, he did figure it out. He basically wrote a thesis about how this was going to work. Just go watch it for the timing, go watch it for the comedy, and just the little things he throws out there that are basically Easter eggs. I think it's a work of art. I think it's a genius thing to do, and it probably explains why he's so good at the other side of wrestling as well, because his brain can look at a situation and just figure it out. He's like Professor Layton. But it really is the epitome of goofy wrestling for life as well, because it made it to WrestleMania, and of course it involves celebrities too. Now we can get into the whole what is the best celebrity match ever, and there are certain elements to each of them, but this one, as far as I'm concerned, just goes to show. It's like my modern day Repo Man. The reason professional wrestling is so good is you can take 3 guys, the 2 wrestlers in the ring, and whoever is creating the show, the promoter, the booker, and if they come up with any idea and everybody agrees to it, you can head out to that squared circle and you can pull it off. And sometimes that's going to be terrible, and sometimes that's going to be perfection, but isn't it incredible that such a creative endeavor does exist? I say yes. Like, I've got a match at a weekend, and I could say I want to go out there and dress up like an elf. And if everybody agrees, I could be an elf. The Jackass team absolutely did their job too. I couldn't give it a bigger tick. I think it's absolutely tremendous. Now, of course, I have missed so many moments that are going to drive me nuts, so help me feel better by dropping a comment below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. My Goofy Wrestlers for Life list is on the screen right now, and that needs to be updated too, even though I did it a few months ago. But otherwise, I know you don't like me because I am so much into Goofy Wrestling, but I don't care. Shout out to Psycho Mike as well, somebody I wrestled recently, who totally gets this nonsense. Otherwise, my friends, see you on the next one.